Question number 7, that's an advanced question. And this is one of my favorite questions because fewer than 1 in 10 candidates answer it completely. Explain how Kubernetes networking works at the packet level from one pod to another pod on different nodes. Not they talk through a service at the packet level. They start with three rules that defines the whole model. One, every pod gets unique cluster-wide IP. Two, pods on any node can talk to other pods without the NAT. Three, nodes can talk to pods without the NAT. And the CNI plugin is what implements those three rules. Kubernetes itself doesn't do networking, it delegates to the CNI. Now check path. A pod A on node 1 sending to pod B on node 2. Follow it. The packet leaves pod A's network namespace. It travels through wet path, a virtual cable with one end inside the pod and another in the. It reaches the host network namespace on the node 1. There the CNI plugin routes or encapsulates it towards the pod B's IP. It creates the network overlay or plain routing to node 2. On node 2's host, it arrives and is decapsulated. If it was an overlay, then through the web pair on that side into pod. That's a full journey pod namespace with host, CNI, wire, host, with how the middle actually happens depend on your CNI. Flannel with VXLAN wraps the packet in UDP tunnel, ships it to the node 2 and unwraps it anywhere but adds overhead and shrinks your MTU. Calico with BGP uses the native layer 3 routing. No overlay routes at L3 more efficient, but it needs network fabric that supports it. And Cilium with eBPA does routing and security in the kernel data path, high performance and L7 visibility. Now, where do service fit? Only when you go through the cluster IP, then the path is pod A, service cluster IP, proxy via IP tables or IPVS, DNS that virtual IP to the real backend pod. And from there, its exact pod to pod path we just traced. The service is just DNAT step bolted into the, which is why the killer mistake is saying pod communicates through the service. For direct pod to pod traffic, services are not involved at all. Services exist for stable VIP based app, a fixed front door to changing set of pods. But pod to pod is direct. If you can explain all three layers, the pod network, the CNI, and the service DNAT, you are answering an architecture level. Hiring managers' expectation. Understanding the three Kubernetes networking rule, explain packet path with with pair host namespace and routing. No CNI options. VX LAN Flannel versus BGP Calico versus eBPF Cilium. Understand service flow, IP tables, IPVS, DNAT. Let's understand this by online booking platform on Kubernetes. Traveler searches flights, hotels, packages, and books the trip. It goes to the internet via web or mobile app. Load balancer distributes incoming traffic. Your services, search service, hotel service, flight service, booking service, payment service, notification service, routes through the traffic. It goes to the database and basically the external service. How it works. More travelers search service and books the flights. Traffic increases during the holidays and offers Kubernetes autoscales, uh, adds the more pods to handle the high demand, self-healing, and smooth booking experience. Same, why Kubernetes uh, is required? Auto scaling, high availability, self-healing, and efficient resource usage. Real business impact. Faster bookings, higher conversation, cost optimization, and better user experience. Kubernetes helps travel platforms like Tripnest they stay fast, reliable, and available during peak travel responses. This is similar like what we have seen last example for the food delivery app. Follow-up questions, 5 follow-up questions and short answers.